Imagine this for a second. The sun goes down tonight, and what do? Without even thinking about it, you reach over, flick a switch, and boom, your room is flooded with artificial light. Your evening just keeps right on going. But here's the thing we're going to be diving into in this explainer. For 99.9% of human history, that magic switch just didn't exist. When the sun set, the world just went completely, totally dark. And I don't mean dim. I mean a darkness so heavy and complete that you literally couldn't see your own hand in front of your face.
It's a crazy contrast, isn't it? Our modern, instantly illuminated world compared to that total primal darkness. For over 300,000 years, every single one of our ancestors spent roughly half of their entire lives in that pitch-black reality. No light bulbs, no glowing screens, and for the vast majority of that time, not even candles. They just had a black sky, the stars, and hopefully a fire they could somehow keep going. So it really makes you wonder, right? What exactly did they do with all those pitch-dark hours? And maybe more importantly, how has trading all that ancestral darkness for artificial light completely rewired our biology today?
Well, let's get into Section 1, the darkness we lost, our ancestral night. And trust me, before we truly mastered our environment, the night was a genuinely terrifying time to be alive.
Think about it. When the sun went down back then, you didn't just hang out. You found a sheltered spot, maybe climbed up a tree, and you stayed absolutely frozen. Why? Because wandering around in the dark meant you were practically ringing the dinner bell for predators. Leopards, hyenas, these animals could see perfectly in the pitch black. And well, our night vision is terrible. But then came the discovery of fire, around 1 million years ago. And that brings us to this crucial number right here, 30. 30 feet. Fire created this literal circle of safety, right? About 30 feet across. Inside that glowing circle, you were safe. Predators stayed back. But if you stepped outside that 30-foot circle, into the dark, yeah, that was almost certain death. Even today, anthropologists see this with modern hunter-gatherers. Wandering away from the nighttime fire is incredibly dangerous. Fire was our ultimate shield against the night.
Which brings us nicely to Section 2, Fire and Our Stories, the Birth of Culture. Because fire didn't just keep the monsters away, it essentially hacked the planet's clock.
Fire gave humans up to 4 entirely new, usable hours every single day. So what did we actually do with that extra time? Well, in 2014, anthropologist Polly Weisner went looking for the answer. She spent years living with the Juansi Bushmen in the Kalahari Desert, just listening and tracking what they talked about. And the shift is wild. During the day, 80% of what they talked about was just practical stuff, logistics, who's hunting, what plants are ripe, basically the prehistoric version of talking about work. But at night, a massive 81% of the conversation shifted entirely to storytelling. We're talking myths, adventures, jokes, origin stories. That nighttime fire was the original movie theater and classroom wrapped into one. It's quite literally the exact space where human imagination and our entire culture were born.
Moving on to Section 3, the secret of double sleep, the lost phase. Now, what happened when the fire finally burned down? That's where a massive biological mystery begins. Historians actually mistranslated this for centuries because modern people just couldn't wrap their heads around it. We recently rediscovered that you and I were never actually designed to sleep in one solid 8-hour block. Back in 2001, historian Roger E. Kirch completely shocked the scientific community. He spent 16 years digging through over 500 historical records, everything from old court documents and diaries to 15th century prayer books, even Homer's Odyssey, and they all pointed to the exact same biological schedule. Check this out. People would go to sleep right after sunset for about 4 hours. They called this first sleep. Then, they would just naturally wake up. They'd stay awake in the pitch dark for 1 to 2 hours, a period known as the watch. And finally, they'd go back to sleep for a second sleep of 4 hours until morning. Guys, this wasn't insomnia. This wasn't a glitch. This was perfectly, biologically normal.
So naturally, you gotta wonder, what on earth did people do in the dark for 2 whole hours every single night? Honestly, kind of a bit of everything. A 16th century doctor's manual actually praised this time, saying it was the absolute best time for reflection and study. Think about it. Your mind is incredibly calm, and the whole world is just utterly still. People used this time to interpret their dreams while they were still fresh. They'd quietly visit neighbors. One French doctor even highly recommended that couples use this specific time to conceive children, simply because they'd be more rested and focused. Or, a lot of the time, they just lay there awake in the dark, letting their minds wander.
That brings us to Section 4, the experiment of the night. Biology remembers. What happens when a modern science experiment accidentally proves all this ancient history to be totally right?
See, historians missed this whole first sleep thing for a long time, assuming it just meant an early nap. Our modern 8-hour sleep block is just so ingrained in us. But in 1992, a psychiatrist named Thomas Ware decided to run an experiment. He wanted to strip away all the modern artificial light and see what happened. He took a group of healthy volunteers and plunged them into exactly 14 hours of total darkness every single night for a full month. He basically recreated the natural winter nights our ancestors lived through before light bulbs ruined everything.
And the results? Absolutely mind-blowing. Without anyone telling them to, every single participant's body dug up 300,000 years of deep evolutionary programming. They naturally drifted right back into that 2-chunk sleep schedule. They'd sleep 4 hours, wake up for 1 to 3 hours, and then sleep another 4. But it wasn't just them lying there bored. We checked their hormone levels and found their brains were swimming in elevated levels of prolactin. That's the exact same hormone your body pumps out during deep meditation. The subjects described this midnight waking period as intensely peaceful. It wasn't a sleep disorder, it was a totally distinct, built-in state of human consciousness that almost all of us alive today have completely lost.
Let's look at Section 5, How Light Changed Us, the Death of the Night. If this amazing, meditative rhythm is hardwired right into our DNA, what exactly killed it off?
The answer is sadly pretty straightforward. We killed the night with light. And it's actually wild to realize just how incredibly fast this happened compared to our evolution. For 300,000 years, the dark ruled our lives, period. Then bam, in the 1600s, Paris starts putting up street lamps to stop criminals. London does the same. Suddenly, the scary night is just a little bit brighter. Move to the 1800s, gas lamps and cheaper candles are everywhere. And then the absolute death blow to our ancestral night, 1879. Thomas Edison commercializes the electric light bulb. In just a few generations, literally a blink of an eye in evolutionary time, we completely wiped out the darkness.
We forget how much we used to respect and frankly fear the dark. Just look at the word curfew. It actually comes from couvre-feu in French, which literally means cover fire. Back in medieval times, a bell would ring, and it was legally required to put out your fires. The night was supposed to be dark, vulnerable, and dangerous. In a lot of European cities, it was literally against the law to walk around at night without a lantern, because they believed the dark belonged strictly to criminals and demons. We were so terrified of the dark that we dedicated ourselves to conquering it. We flooded our entire world with artificial light, flipped the switch, and proudly called it progress. But, as you're probably guessing, that progress came with a massive biological tax. Here's the crazy chain reaction happening inside your head right now. Today, you and I are blasted with artificial light for like 7 or 8 hours after the sun goes down. When that harsh blue light from your phone or TV hits your eyes at 11 p.m., your ancient brain gets so confused it quite literally interprets that glowing screen as the midday sun. Because of that totally false signal, your brain says, whoa, it's daytime, and heavily suppresses melatonin, the hormone that actually lets you sleep. In a split second, millions of years of perfectly tuned circadian rhythm are just completely shattered by a single screen.
But here's the fascinating part. Our bodies haven't actually forgotten. Researchers found that if you take people and send them out camping for just 1 week, I'm talking strictly no smartphones, no flashlights, absolutely zero artificial light, their entire melatonin cycle resets by nearly 2 full hours. Their bodies eagerly go right back to producing melatonin the exact second the sun sets, just like our ancestors did. It's incredible to see just how close to the surface that 300,000 years of programming really is. The instant we take away the artificial light, your ancient biology is right there, ready to take over again. Finally, Section 6, Insomnia or Ancestral Memory, Rethinking 2 a.m. We traded our deep, natural rhythms for a convenient light switch, and the result? A global epidemic of sleep fragmentation. We wake up at 2 a.m., stare at the ceiling, panic, and immediately diagnose ourselves with a medical disorder.
So I want to leave you with this final, kind of profound thought to take away from this explainer. What if your 2 a.m. insomnia isn't actually a glitch in your system? What if waking up in the pitch dark, just lying there in the silence, isn't your body malfunctioning at all? What if buried under the glaring artificial lights of modern life, it's simply your body desperately trying to remember what it was built to do? So maybe the next time you find yourself wide awake in the middle of the night, don't immediately grab your phone. Just lie there, embrace the quiet, and recognize that you might just be experiencing the exact same peaceful watch that guided human consciousness for hundreds of thousands of years.